Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope our week has been productive so far. You're welcome to today's book review session. And today we'll be reviewing chapters 14 and 15 of our book. I'm not sure whether our facilitator is here. Our facilitator for today is Chris Richards. I'm not sure whether he's in the meeting now. Let me chat him up. See.
Send him a chat already.
Man, who's a facilitator? Morning, everyone.
Chris Richards.
Oh, praise. Yeah, no, you can run the session whenever you need. So how many people read the book? Signify by reason of your hand.
Okay, I'm still waiting for him to join. I think he's online and he should be joining shortly. All right, Omotola, you are raising up your hands.
I'm just raising a hand to the question that I asked. I said, how many people read the book? So maybe we should ask, how many people did not read the book? And why?
Okay.
Derek, did you read the book? Derek. Is there frozen? You can hear me?
Yeah, actually, I can hear you. Hi.
I said, did you read the book?
Good morning, guys.
So I've gotten a breakdown of
Hi,
the
did you
story.
read the book?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Hi, actually.
I think Praise is here on the call already.
Yes, Praise is here already.
Sorry, Praise, before you start, sorry, can every other person hear me?
Yes, we can.
Clear. So I want to know those that are not reading the book, and I really want to know why. So Derek, can you hear me? Did you read the book? If not, why? I will go from one person to the other. Everybody on this call.
Hi, actually.
Yes,
So,
did you read the book?
I passively read the book. So why I passively read the book was because I already had a discussion with a friend of mine that read the book, right?
Okay.
So basically we had a discussion on, everybody, the characters and the like. So that's why I say I passively read it.
All right. Franklin, did you read the book?
I didn't read the book. I have today.
Why?
I didn't read the book. I was just waiting for the movie to be released.
Okay, I'll address that here. Timmy Gunners, I will jump you for obvious reasons that I know. Justin with an E, did you read the book? I can hear you. Why? Sorry? Feeling lazy. All right, Velma. I will take you last and then I will address something and then we can proceed. Velma, did you read the book?
Yes, I'm reading the book. I'm following. I'm catching up. Good morning, everybody. I'm catching up.
Okay. All right. So guys, it is a part of our culture, right? Reading book or book reading is part of our learning, it's part of our DNA. Luckily, we're in the month where we're dealing with our DNA. Learning, design, and end user obsession. Please, it is mandatory that we all read the book. And if we look at it, if you are honest with yourself, those 2 chapters are usually very small, right? When you read them, right? So please, so that we don't go to the other side or cross to the other side of punitive measures, right? Please, everybody read the book, right? Try and read the book. It's not difficult. You know, it's very easy and sweet to read, right? And that's particularly why we chose this book, right? We don't want anything technical that people will be, you know, racking their head against, because we've done a lot of that during the year. So please, next week, I will do this again. Thank you. Praise, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I would like to share my screen. I don't know, I've not done that before on Zoom. One second. So,
What's happening with the screen sharing?
Praise, you need, yeah, Michael, I agree with you. 2 weeks a week is draggy, so maybe we increase to 3 weeks. Praise, I have an issue with sharing the screen. You can share with Franklin. Franklin is in the office to help share it. Otherwise, you can continue talking through your whatever you have in your presentation, right? While we listen. Is Praise still here?
yes, can you hear me? Sorry, I had to restart Zoom because I changed the sharing preference. So
Okay.
it should
All right.
work now. Just let me know if you can see my
Yeah,
screen.
it's working.
Can you
It's
see my
working.
screen?
Please go ahead. Yes, we can. Oh, I can.
Okay. So I was asked to facilitate the review for chapter 14 and 15 of I Do Not Come to You by Chance. I'd also read it in passively before, not passively, but well, they put me on the spot. So well, let's jump right to it. Chapter 14. Let me see. I would like to know if everyone here or like majority here actually read chapter 14 and 15. Maybe raise your hands so I just know. Can you hear me, guys? Okay, cool. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. So just 3 people. Interesting. Okay. All right, cool. So well, the first thing that jumped right at me when I was reading chapter 14 was the pressure is getting worse, right? We see that when we are taken to Cash Daddy's house, and before he even gets to the house, he sort of is trying to find his way and is asking directions from the security personnel at Cash Daddy's office, and the security guy is like, when you get to this particular street, you can't miss it. I mean, if someone said that to me, I would just be like, what's your point? Do you understand? What are you trying to prove? And then that's exactly how this guy felt, right? He felt like, what are you trying to just give me the number of the house? And the security guy is, Oga, just go. When you get to the street, you can't miss it. And lo and behold, it was probably the biggest house on that street, because it wasn't a house, it was a monument. It was a mansion, right? It had like two big giant lion statues on both sides of the gate, and everything just seemed sophisticated. So yeah, so we're introduced to Cash Daddy's house. It has, the up-to-date CCTV cameras and monitors, and gadgets that you can use to communicate with anybody around the house, much like what we see at the bourgeoisie part of any geolocation, right? So I'm just gonna throw it out there now. Is there anyone who growing up had the opportunity to visit a rich man's house for the first time? Maybe you didn't come from a wealthy background, a wealthy household, and you had a chance to, or maybe you even came from a comfortable or rich background, but you went to a richer family's house for the first time, and you thought you had money, right? You thought your family had wealth, and then you discovered that you are learning work. Is there anyone that had such experience? Please kindly raise your hand, share. So Ayotunde, are you raising your hand?
Yes, I'm raising my hand. Good morning, everyone. Right. So I didn't say I come from a rich background. So I went to some guy's house. He's late now. His name is Remi Olude. He was the chairman of IGI, Industrial and General Insurance, right? So I went to the house in Ikoyi. His house is almost opposite Tinubu's house, actually. He has like two gates before you enter. You enter one, enter the other one. There's a back gate somewhere again in the house, right? But what's more instructive about the house, or what is instructive about what I wanted to see about being a rich man's house is this. So I went into, sorry for the background noise. So I went into his house. He usually has this beginning of the year type conversation or celebration. So I was newly married, went with my wife. I'm not sure that I had my son then already, but went into the house, got into the living room, gentle, quiet. I sat down. Then this relatively old men actually, but I mean, in their 60s, 70s, he just looked at me and said, they said it in, I'm not sure they said it in Yoruba or English, and just said that, can we greet them, that we see them sitting here? And so I just apologized that, sorry, and I, greeted them, prostrated in a funny manner, right? And then sat down and said, hey, better. And next thing comes the children of this acclaimed rich man, which are in my age group. And they just came and they just walked by and just say hi, and they just say hi, almost disrespectfully or disdained the men sitting down. And you could see the elation on their face, as in you're excited for the children to greet them. How are you? You're doing, unlike me that it's not my father's house, right? They have to tell me to greet them and prostrate, and greet properly. But the family of the rich kid got preferential treatment.
Interesting. Well, before I share my own experience, is there anyone else that had something similar to that? Yeah, your first time at a rich man's house. Any hands raised?
Okay. I've been trying to think of something. I mean, we were rich too, albeit rich in values, maybe not money. Anyway, so it wasn't essentially the house, but I remember that we were quite younger then, and I think I was in maybe fresh out of primary school or secondary school. I can't remember anymore. But we went to see a relative. My mom's my mom retired as a teacher. And she taught in a government school. So we're going to see one of our colleagues that they became very close friends. So I had the mindset that, or she teaches in a government school. So this colleague of ours, my mom would always tell us that she would come with different cars to school. That her husband, and of course, my mom knew how much she was earning because they were colleagues, right? But her husband was the big boy. So I think the thing for me then was that was the first place that I saw like tier rubber cars. So we had a car, but I still have memories of how my dad would go to Republic of Benin, Cotonou to buy the cars, and we were driving like older model cars. So we went to the house this time and I saw the SUVs, and the shocking part was that it had nylon on the body. And I'm like, wait, cars come with nylons? Like, are you for real? And they were like, yeah, that's what it means when they say tear up. I'm like, oh wow. And I remember going back home to ask my dad when we are going to buy a car that had nylon on it. Anyway, so that's my own experience. It was just really shocking that cars came with nylon. Yeah.
Interesting. How old were you when you discovered that?
I was probably in primary school, so maybe nine, maybe 8 or 9. Yeah.
Wow. You want to try yourself. Okay, so anyone else? Okay, so for me, if you guys think of anything, please just raise your hand, and when I'm done talking, you can like go next. So for me, it was so growing up, every Sunday or most Sundays, my mom would take us out after church. So it was like our tradition where we would look for somewhere to visit, maybe go to the amusement park, go somewhere after church. Yeah. And sometimes our church members, so we went to churches at that time that we'll call charismatic churches now, right? So at that time, we're going to churches like Fountain of Life, right? Back then, Fountain of Life was like rich people church. That was the kind of church we were going to. So obviously, the kind of friends that my mom had were friends that most of them stayed in like VGC, Ikoyi, places like that. So after church, sometimes like, come over for lunch. Come over for lunch, things like that. We're like, okay, sure, fine. So, sometimes church members just enter car, and just like do convoy and just, visit each other. It was fun. This particular occasion, we went to a place because I was going to VGC for the first time. That time, VGC is not really what it was. Back then, VGC was, in fact, it was like you were not in Lagos anymore, right? It was like you were somewhere outside the country. So we went to VGC for the first time, and in fact, how very orderly it is that you can't just go without having an appointment. It was like Banana Island now. They have to call the security person at the main gate that someone is coming. Can the person pass? So the person pass. We had like 3 checkpoints. Finally got to the main estate. Inside this estate, I don't know how they did it, but there's another place like that is also secured inside the estate, right? So we got there, and they had cameras outside the door, and then a voice activator, this thing somewhere outside say, "Oh, you guys are here. Come in. Just open the door. The door is open." Right? So I mean, I'm sure the door will be open because like security tight. You guys like choke. They can leave the door open, right? So we entered, and everywhere was looking. And we were coming from a place where we were living in a 2-bedroom. No, yeah, a 2-bed at the time. My mom and I and the kids, and we just have one very small parlor, and we are kids, bunch of kids. Everything is just messed up and all that. So we entered there, and the place was looking like a museum, right? Even as a child, I was wondering, there must not be kids in this house, because you can't tell me that there are kids in this house and everywhere is looking like a gallery, right? It was just so boring. Not like boring in a bad way, but everything was just like, no. So we sat down, bro. I was shaking because mom had warned us in the car. If you try and if you move, if your leg shakes, you go collect. You understand? This one isn't waiting to get, like, you go collect right there and then. She go either pinch you or just give you one this thing where you say nobody could notice, right? So we had to be on our best behaviors. And then the kids came downstairs. No, so before the kids came downstairs, they had two kids, right? Before they came downstairs, the mom stood by the step and mentioned their names, right? And said, Shola, Tade, both of you can come down. So everything was proper organized. When it was time for lunch, we sat down at the parents, time for lunch, the cook came, served them, put everything on the table. And the mom now invited everybody to the dining area. And that was also the first time I saw fork and knife, like, arranged everything. And then it was a serve yourself thing. It was a whole experience for me, right? And it was fun. It made me feel like I could also be better because of that experience. I didn't know that I could aspire to be wealthy like that, but I wanted to be better as a human being because I just felt like these people are not Nigerians. They must not be Nigerians, right? My second experience was visiting Obasanjo's daughter's house. We're also young. Obasanjo's daughter had two kids, right? A boy and a girl. And that one was, in fact, they were living at Ikoyi also at the time. And the house was so big, the compound was so huge, and everything neat and everything. But the kids were so playful. In fact, we always, it got to a point where almost every month we went to the house to just sit down and watch Power Rangers together. Power Rangers was like the main thing for kids that time. So what brought us together was Power Rangers, right? So anytime they had a video cassette, it was video cassettes were playing back then when Power Rangers would do a bit of video cassette, and then we send it across to each other, right? So those were my the experiences that I remember from visiting rich people's house. And anyway, so yeah, moving on. The next thing I have on my things I noted out was is wealth an excuse? Is wealth an excuse? Yeah, you could say I don't blow now, but I mean, well, it is what it is, right? So is wealth an excuse? I'm looking at this from the angle of Cash Daddy. Cash Daddy has all this wealth and is still the same kind of guy that will sit on the toilet seat and take a dump with people around him and not care, and sits on his bed and eat like a pig, right? Very messy, very gluttony, and not care. So is wealth an excuse for disorderliness, for bad behavior generally? Is wealth an excuse for bad behavior? So for those of us who read this chapter, what do you think about Cash Daddy? About Boniface's character, his personality? And how can you relate it? Is there anyone in real life that probably has exhibited or exhibits those kind of behaviors? Yeah, go to the toilet, not wash his hand, and then come back and now start eating immediately. That was scary. So yeah, who has seen someone like this with all the money and still no decorum? Anybody? And what do you think about Cash Daddy's personality? Please raise your hand and go ahead so that I know that you are listening.
Okay, my hand has been up for a while. I guess you can't see.
I did not see it though. Sorry, sir. All right, go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. So I think we all sort of touched on this even last week. It's a money misroad situation. I think there's always a place for some sort of exposure. And don't get me wrong, because I feel like some people still have this exposure and it doesn't still help. Some people still go to school and maybe, I don't know, by way of the people they acquaint themselves with, it still doesn't rub off on them. But I think for the most part, it's exposure, it's education. When you get to surround yourself with a certain type of people or a certain type of maybe psychography, it sort of helps you in being cultured. So I think what Cash Daddy lacked was that cultured personality. So even with all the money that he had, and again, it comes, and you can actually see it in our world today with all these young boys who get rich quick, right? With their get rich quick schemes, whatever they do. The first things they think of are the most flashiest things. Beyond that, they live in weird situations, or their parents still live in weird situations, or their hygiene isn't that great, but they're driving the latest BMs. I don't think opulence is having lion sculptures on your gate or the walls of your house. Like I feel like it'd be ugly and it'd be too much, but I guess it comes with you wanting to show off wealth in the way that you know it, right? And I don't think that's actually shows off wealth. It's actually, I don't know, maybe it's a style. But I feel like once you acquaint yourself with for lack of better words, the posh, it would come through in every other way, in every other thing that you would do. And sometimes you may not even necessarily be rich for you to actually look that posh or look that clean or express yourself that way. So I feel like with him and with the history he had when he was younger, living with Kingsley's family, you would see that he was just a anyhow person. He wasn't well, yeah. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Wow, okay. So yes, thank you so much, Daddy Mike. I guess that sort of sheds a little bit of light on his personality, where it was coming from. And it thought, I mean, Yoruba was saying, he thought try to cut you back. I think that's the kind of person he is. So yeah. So Velma, thank you. Yeah, is being cultured a function of money, right? So it's possible to have all this wealth and not have manners. So dealing with insecurities, I'm going to tie the person with the wealth to dealing with insecurities. So raise your hand. Okay, Velma, sorry, go ahead. You raise your hand before.
Yeah. Hi, everybody, and sorry. I've met people that are not really wealthy, but they're very cold. They aspire to be. They're cultured. They try to they maintain their life in a certain manner, and then when money comes, it amplifies that. So I was just really wondering if like money is actually like a function of being culture. Like if you have money, does it make you more cultured? Because some people can have money and they're not cultured. Some people don't have money, but they're cultured. So I was just
Yeah, so money is an amplifier. It sort of magnifies and amplifies what you had, in you, what was in it. Yeah, sure. So dealing with insecurities. So just okay, Olanrewaju, please go ahead.
Okay, please. I think you've captured what major thing I wanted to say. I wanted to respond to Velma to say I agree that money is not necessarily what you know, that money is not what brings culture. I mean, if you don't have it, just like you have said, money will only amplify what you had before. Because I can say that some of the people that I admired the most or that I used to really look up to culture-wise were really average people. And that was even what made me admire them the most. That you guys don't have all the money in the world, but I really admired the way they lived their lives. And I could see that it only took that the moment money comes in, it will amplify this culture, and they would really be admirable people. So I completely agree with Elma. It's not about money. But and like you said, money would only amplify whether you're good culture or your bad culture. So yes.
Thank you so much. So sorry guys. Yeah, yeah, the people that said they want to know when market trend comes in. I thought I deleted this. Nice one. All right, cool. So dealing with insecurities. The guys, please just raise your hand. You know, let's talk real talk here. Have you ever seen or met people who were wealthy or who were rich, and you were like, what a waste of wealth? This guy doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve this wealth he has. Like, life no balance at all. Please. Yeah. Typically Igbo men. Guys, let's talk. Many, right? That you just see this way, like, who give you this money? How? And then, sometimes it just makes you think about life, right? If you are not strong mentally, you just see things around there like, I wise past this guy normally. I wise past this babe normally. Me and this person if we date the same room, same with the debates. You understand? And then just makes you wonder what life is. Like, does any, let me throw it out there. Does anyone like really think deep when they see things like this? When they see one person just flaunting, just throwing cash, one very interesting looking guy in the club, just buying 10 bottles, caskets, everything. Like, me and this guy one-on-one. Let's go. Anyone? Be honest though. Okay, I think, let me see. Someone is raising their hand because you who are talking in the comment section. Raise your hand and collect the mic, please.
Okay, let me just so to say that they do not deserve the money may be fair to say, right? Because some people maybe really worked hard for the money. Right. What I would say is they do not know how to utilize this money or spend this money rightly. It's not really
That
do what
mic,
you
I
should
think
do in their life. Maybe that might be unfair to say that I get sense like this person. Oh, okay. But really I've said what I can say. I don't know. Can you still hear me?
Okay.
Yes. So it's just I'm just trying to say maybe it's unfair to say, oh, this person does not deserve the money that they have, because it's not everyone who maybe have gotten the money through, through shady deals. I think it's how you spend it and the things you spend it on. Right. So I would always judge it, like you mentioned, if it's a club setting. Sorry for the background noise. If it's a club setting, I would always judge someone who is spending $1 million just to buy a bottle of Azul, because in my mind, I've calculated how many things I could do with $1 million. But again, it's his money, right? I do see people like even the times Hush Puppy used to flaunt stuff. I feel I didn't necessarily think they were really nice stuff. Maybe it's not my thing or it's not my style of fashion. Well, I didn't, and that's where again, that's where the difference between fashion and style is. I never, with all the money and very expensive things Hush Puppy used to get, I never saw him as a stylish person. Never. Not one picture did I think was an inspiration for me, right? But they were very expensive things. So again, in my mind, it's a money misthrow situation where another example is this guy's father, Kid Wire's father. I can't remember what his name is, or something Wire, right? All those very ugly Versace logos on the floor in their parlor, Gucci logos on their chair everywhere in their car, terrible. So for them, they are showing off wealth, but it's still well, maybe there's some audience that appreciates it as opulence, but yeah, it's yeah.
It's not giving style, it's just giving show off.
Raz show off.
Yeah, true that. I mean, I'm also in that WhatsApp group when I see people just rocking designers and stuff, and they say they are stylish. I don't really see it. Right, I don't see this. I just see just showing wearing designer. That's all. So but what about the people who that first of all, one, they didn't make their money legitimately, and or two, they didn't make the money themselves. So maybe like family wealth and stuff. Do you ever feel a type of way towards them? Do people feel a type of way towards them? Is there any prejudice? Even though it's not your money, but you're like, it's not your money either. I mean, there was something that was circulating the internet where one of the ladies in the house, in the Big Brother house, was saying to Kid Wire, funny enough, we just talked about it, was saying to Kid Wire, you are just a kid. You are not you are not Wire. Your dad is Wire. You are the kid. It's like she was trying to say, it's not your money, it's your dad's money, right? And people were like, I can't take that. If it was me, people in the house were like, if it was me, she said that too. How much you collect a strike? I can't say that. And kid was just laughing. And they're like, why are you so chilled? You know, like, but she's not lying. That's why they was like, hey, she don't lie now. Now my papa money now, and I enjoy her. So what do people feel the type of way towards people like that? That it's not their money, they're just cruising on family wealth. Yeah, anyone, before we move to the next chapter 15. So, okay, so yeah, thank you. Your father's money is your money. People that are talking, Derek, you don't want to take the mic, you're talking in the comment section. All right. So, don't be ashamed of generational money, I beg. Now, it's your luck. It's your luck. All right, I agree. Someone in the house also said it was born with a silver spoon and they exchanged the silver spoon with a wooden one. So, I mean, you're right. Sometimes people are just lucky like that. So yeah, moving on to chapter 15. The conclusion of chapter 14 was after all the bad behavior that Uncle Boniface exhibited, from the toilet incident to not washing his hands and just digging into a bowl of rice and all that and eating it up. Guess what? He still collected the money from the man. He still collected the money and went. So it was in his mind like, this is nasty. This is but person know the vex for money, right? So that's another take home. At the end of the day, you really can't be upset with money, right? Because everyone needs it. So 15, we follow Kingsley to the hospital where he meets, where he goes to visit his. So because of the money he got from Uncle Boniface, he was able to transfer his dad to a better hospital and for better care. And his dad was able to, because of that, come out of the coma that he was in. And you know, this also just, you know, talks about things that we see in movies. This part talks about things we see in movies and we don't know how it actually is in real life, right? But according to Kingsley, you know, when someone wakes up from coma, they are disoriented. It's not like in movies where someone just comes out from coma and the person is immediately looking and standing up and walking about, or looking looking up and mentioning somebody's name and starts talking immediately, right? In real life, if you're coming out from a coma, you're first of all disoriented, depending on how long you've been in coma for. So this also just makes us think about mortality, right? Well, this is deep, but let's not go really deep into it. So mortality, I'm thinking of from the angle of what happens during this period when you realize that when you were almost gone and then you came back. So I know that Kingsley's dad has some issues with Uncle Boniface, right? And now he's back. Do we think that for people who have experienced not just near-death experience, but experienced things that were terminal related or could have been deadly, do we actually think about the things that would have left behind, or the people that we have issues with? Is it a wake-up call for us? Do we actually think about things like that in times when it seems like something was really, really wrong, going wrong with us? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. I think when things like that happen, it's a time to reflect. So the question is, do we, when we are in a position where something that could have been terminal has just happened, do we stop to think about life generally, and then the things that we have, that any issues we had with people, maybe family or friends or something, do we actually think about it, and do we take it a step further and say, you know what, at the end of the day, things happen. Do you try to reconcile? Is it a time for you to how do I put it now? Make amends? There's people that really don't think about things like this.
So what I hear you say is, when you have a near-death experience, do you sort of look at your life like a bit more closely, or in a different way? Yeah, I think it's natural. I mean, yeah. It doesn't mean, for me, it doesn't mean that I'll forgive anybody. I mean, if you don't need to forgive, there's no need to forgive. Whether you almost died or not, I mean, whether you forgive them or not, it will not change the day of your death. It will not change their life, So I think, I mean, you hold on to your grudges and keep on. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? A different perspective. For instance, you're not, like she said, it doesn't mean I'm going to forgive. So anyone from different perspective, that this person wronged you, and then you came back from supposed dead, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to be at peace with love and light. Has anyone ever said, I'm back, but still violence, I'm still choosing violence, no love and light?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, please, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. For me, I didn't really have to almost die. I just had to give the person space, and after a while, the anger and everything just died, and I was like, why were you angry with this person? What will you gain like that? And that was it. Actually, I started looking for the person's, because I didn't have the person's contact anymore. I was not looking for it like as if I was doing documentary, and that was it.
Lord. Okay, well, I mean, you must have really missed that person. I wonder who that person is. Is the person in the office? As in, is the person?
No.
All right. Anyway, so the reason why I asked this was because it's going to link to something we're going to later discuss towards the end of the chapter. So let's go on. If there's no one else, right? So let's go on to money answers all things. So this can be seen from where Uncle Boniface decides to visit the hospital, and so normally they have this rule where there's a strict visiting hour, and there's also the number of people that can visit, right? So maybe like 2 people per time, or maybe 1 person, depending on the hospital. So they had such rule in place for this hospital, and Kingsley was there with his mom, and even when he brought his sibling, he had to wait outside for her to go in, right? So that's how strict they are, right? So but Kingsley was in with his mom, and then the nurse came and said they had a guest, and she's like, visitor again. I thought you guys had like a strict rule and all that. And then no one was challenging this supposed guest. And so they go out to see, and then she goes out to see who it is, and it's her brother. And she's surprised at how the staff of the hospital, how they are all just smiling and grinning and being so friendly and welcoming. And everybody is just really excited to see this guy. And then she's just laughing like, oh, wow, these people really, they must really love you, must really be popular. So she even goes ahead to say, oh, take care of my sister's husband, my in-law, da da da. And then they're like, we didn't know he was your brother. Oh, hey, wow. So he's your brother. Is he your real blood brother or your blood brother? Or like you guys are just like family friends? They were just so intrigued about the whole thing. So money answers all things. There's a status symbol that comes with wealth. So let me ask, is there anything that money cannot undo? Right. I mean, apart from mortality, right? Okay. Is there anything that you, with the wealth you have, is there any door you can't really? There is plenty. Okay. So maybe mention one. I don't know.
It's plenty. There are so many stuff. Money can't buy happiness.
Happiness, yeah. But money can steal a mandate.
How?
If you know, you know. Money can overturn tribunal.
Money can fake happiness. It can just for a while just do as if you're happy.
Yeah, definitely. Money cannot buy happiness. But people say that I'll rather cry in a mansion than on the street.
But when you're crying, that's when you realize that you're not even seeing the mansion or the streets. Because you're so carried away with the thing that is making you cry.
What's the thing that is making you cry?
If you cry, real cry, you will forget about mansion.
Someone said money cannot give you true love. Annabelle, please shed light on. Sophie, I'm going to come back to you. You said money cannot give you true love. I disagree. Please, we have a popular actress who married money. I can't say she married somebody. She married money. And I mean, she was really very, very young, married money. And now she's so much in love with this money, right? So yeah, money can. Anyway, we'll come back to you. So, Annabelle, please go ahead. You said money can give you anything.
So I believe money can buy happiness. So money can buy anything because happiness as a term is actually negotiable. You can anything can just make you happy, anything can make you sad. It's just like different. That's why people most of the time sometimes trying to differentiate joy, which is inner, from happiness. Happiness can be contributed to anything. So if I'm feeling sad now, I'm bored and depressed, I can use my money to go and buy something that might give me joy. Why do you think psychopaths can use money to go and buy something that is horrible, that is actually giving them joy? One will give another person joy, we give one will give another person happiness, we give another person happiness. So for me, money can buy anything. Money can take you places on earth. Money can pave way for you. Even love, money can buy you love. Money can buy you care. If you have money, people will surround, even if they are, backstabbers and everything like that, at least in your front, they want to ensure you are okay and everything like that. So as far as I'm concerned, money is important. Money can help you, can buy you anything you want on earth. So money is extremely important.
So happiness is negotiable, right? You can get you anything you want. Cool. So Lola and Sophie, one is opposing, one is supporting. One says, how do you know she's not in love with him? And Sophie says, how are you sure she's in love with him? I think we'll leave that to gist lovers to tell us what's happening last. Anyway, everybody, all right. So
sorry, Richard,
okay,
I was
Sophie,
not
go ahead.
referring to her. I was actually asking you. You said
Yeah, that's I said we'll leave it to gist lovers because I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, we know how we all started. It was more or less like a maybe family persuasion. Oh, this man saw a lady that he loved, right? And he reached out to her, and she was obviously reluctant initially, and then so we read on the internet, right? And the family was like, oh, no, go for it. And then she did. So what we don't know now is if she has fallen in love with the arrangement or if it is still an arrangement, right? So anyway, what else can money not do? Right? What else can money not do? I mean, so the thing is with me, right? I feel like if I had someone who was really, really wealthy, I would leverage on, building a network, right? Because I feel like money, not even money, the perception of wealth opens doors. I feel like that's what's more important, right? Than even the wealth itself. I feel like the network you can build. I was working on a documentary some years ago, right? And the documentary was about a family, a rich family in Ikoyi. I think they just lost their dad. It was all these families that they had a very huge family tree. So I got to understand that because of the wealth that these people had, the circle of friends that they had around them, it was easy for them to just keep procreating wealthy families. Let me explain what I mean. For instance, we are all living in VGC. All our kids are abroad, right? So it's easy for the kids to either meet abroad, right, and just hook up and then start their life together, or come back home and just meet up and say, oh, you are so this is son now. Have you met my daughter? This is so they were usually very intentional about the people that they linked up, that they connected, right? They seldom, very rarely allowed their kids to just bring any person from any class home, right? Not because they were trying to be prejudiced, right, towards this class of people, but because they felt like it was a no-brainer. It was one of the no-brainers that that will just keep them wealthy, right? The rich marrying the rich will culminate to more wealth, right? So for me, I feel like that's what it's about. I feel like it's more about the networking rather than the wealth itself. All right, so let's move on. If gray area, selective morality. So we see this when first of all, the family knows that Uncle Boniface his business is not really it's not legit, right? They know or they suspect that his business is not legit. But then Uncle Boniface's sister, that's Kingsley's mom, collects the money to take care of her husband. And when they say Uncle Boniface is around, and Kingsley's like, why is he here? And then I know they're discussing like, maybe he wants to give us more money. She's like, that's she's just worried that I think okay, when she's talking about the fact that when her husband wakes up, she doesn't know if he's going to appreciate that Uncle Boniface was the one who had like really helped them during this ordeal. Kingsley is like, because of Uncle Boniface's questionable business, Kingsley is like, well, at least we are using the money to do good, right? So that is what he says. That's his excuse. He's saying, despite the fact that this money is shady in quote or collecting from a shady businessman, we are using the money to do something good. That's what he says. That is so Nigerian, right? So that's selective morality as far as I'm concerned. So what do you guys think? When Kingsley said this, why? And then the mom now agreed and said, well, yes, I guess, right? So why should it be okay to collect money from someone that this money is illegal? This is, in fact, many of us are guilty of this. Many of us are guilty of this. So, guys, please, let's hear you talk. What are your thoughts on selective morality? I call it the gray area because we are going to church, we're going to the mosque, we're very religious people. But sometimes things happen in our lives that make us just turn a blind eye, just a little bit, right? So let's hear your thoughts. Does this make us human, right? Does this make us human? Is it wrong? Are there really gray areas? I mean, is there right and wrong? Is there black and white? Are there no gray areas? Are there gray areas? So what do you think, guys? Hands raised, please. I'll take the floor. Let me see. Anybody raising hand? This is a very, very cool, important topic of discussion actually. Because this is sort of what is eating the fabric of our country right now as we speak. The ability to, in fact, we are so. I discovered that we are very judgmental and we are very righteous. We are a righteous nation. We are quick to point fingers and blame people, blame the government and all that. And then at the same time, in that same breath, we are hoping that a family member also gets appointed. So, it's in fact. So guys, please let's talk about it. So are we not going to talk? Nobody. So wait, are we feeling guilty here? Is everybody affected? Okay, baby, please go ahead.
First, I'll ask a question. If I kill myself, is it a good thing? It's first a question.
No, it's not a good thing if you kill yourself.
Okay. Then, but you see people who kill themselves for a reason, like for instance, to save someone else. They know that if they are going to save this person, for instance, a train is coming and I want to push this person out of the way of the train. I know I am going to die, but I push the person and I die. Is that still a bad thing?
Well,
so
I mean,
what I'm just trying to say is that
it's you against the person anyway. Well,
no, like for instance, the society, if that happens, the society will say that you are a hero, you save someone's life, and then they will not remember that some religious books say that suicide is bad and like that. So it really depends on the situation. There are some situations where the truth is that we know what is good and what is bad, but there are some situations where which English is flying away from my head. There are some situations where this good and bad is not just plain. It's not just straightforward. For instance,
so they agree.
mother. Hello?
So they are gray areas. No, everything is not.
There are no gray areas. Oh, bad is bad when it's bad, and good is good when it's good. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, because I had this conversation with my cousin who is a pastor, and he asked me if killing is bad, and I said yes, killing is bad. Then he said, if someone tells you that he's going to kill your parents, what will you do? I said that if it was like, and killing the person is the only way from stopping the person from killing your parents, what are you going to do? I said I'll kill the person, but I believe I'll go to hell for it. And it was like, no, that you will not go to hell. That at that point, and this is a pastor talking, say at that point, killing is not bad. That is not. He said, in fact, that the Bible didn't say, "Thou shalt not kill." The Bible said, "Thou shalt not commit murder." So at that point, it's no more murder. It's killing for a reason. So you can see the matter is long.
Yeah. No. So the thing is, what you don't know is the things you're trying to explain is a gray area. They are called gray areas. It means that it's not black and white. There are ways to circumvent around this, right? So yeah. So unfortunately, I think humans have been able to get away with some stuff, right? Because of selective morality. And the gray area input. So let me quickly wrap this up. Who has more pride? A rich man? God, the time has gone. So maybe we'll pick this up later. But who has more pride? A rich man or a poor moral man, right? Because a poor moral man always seems to have this discipline that in quote he grew up with. That's why. So he's always blaming society, blaming people for. Most of the time, they always blame people for where they are because they're like, "Oh, I'm so honest. I'm very I have integrity. I have this." So they are usually the ones that have the most integrity, right? So okay, Verma says a poor moral man. Just as a man with pride is the one that has more pride. Okay, Lola, do you want to quickly explain that?
The person that has pride, that's the one with pride, whether it's rich or poor, as long as you are proud, it's not going away.
Okay, let's explain what I mean. So have you met some humble men, some proud humble men who will refuse to take money from maybe the Odogu or maybe the chief of a community because it just feels like the person has not been faithful to his subjects. So he's trying to prove a point, right? So you can call it pride, but at the same time, there's like a righteous justification for it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so I think that's what I'm talking about. So first, this is talking to the character of Kingsley's dad, right? He is that person who is comfortable with what he has and is a upstanding citizen, right? So he's definitely going to he's not going to be happy with the fact that Kingsley is tilting towards his direction, right? Associating with Uncle Boniface, eventually, which we know is going to be really, really dark, get really dark for him. And he's not going to be happy that they used Uncle Boniface's money to treat him, even though it was for his health, right? So that just brings us to the conclusion of this, and the take-home question is: are rich men more proud than poor moral men, right? So, thank you guys for this interactive session. Please keep dropping your comments. I don't think there's any other contributions or whatever. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you. Over to you, Franklin.